everyone, I'm Jessica.
And I'm Lisa
from the Balanced Real Estate team in Prescott, Arizona. In today's video, we'll talk about NAR, better known as the National Association of Realtors, and the proposed settlement and the key terms of the settlement. Okay, let's get started. There has been a lot of confusion, not only for the public, but with realtors as well, about the settlement proposed in the Sitzler-Burnett verdict against the National Association of Realtors and all the copycat cases filed nationwide. It has raised questions about how we as real estate professionals do our jobs and how consumers can hire and compensate us. One of the rules that was set forth is that offer of compensation can no longer be made through the MLS. And MLSs around the country will have just 150 days to update their platform to adhere to these rule changes. As of now, this rule change and others are awaiting court approval and still needs to be finalized despite what large news and media outlets are telling you. If you want to know the real facts about the ruling, be sure to visit the National Association of Realtors website. There are tons of articles out there currently that say home prices will go down and sellers are going to reduce their sales price, and all kinds of other wild guesses, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Here are the key terms. First is release of liability. The agreement would release NAR, over 1 million NAR members, all state and territorial and local realtor associations, all association-owned MLSs, and all brokerages with an NAR member as principal that had a residential transaction volume in 2022 of $2 billion or below from liability for the types of claims brought in these cases on behalf of home sellers related to broker commissions. The second is that compensation offers will be removed from the MLS. NAR has agreed to put in place a new rule prohibiting offers of compensation on the MLS. Offers of compensation could continue to be an option that consumers can pursue off of the MLS through negotiation and consultation with real estate professionals. Sellers will be able to offer buyer concessions. For example, concessions for buyer closing costs. This change will go into effect in mid-July 2024. The third takeaway is written agreements for MLS participants or real estate agents acting on behalf of buyers. While NAR has been advocating for the use of written agreements for years, in this settlement, NAR agreed to require MLS participants working with buyers to enter into written representation agreements with their buyers. This change will go into effect in mid-July 2024 as well. The last takeaway is the settlement payment. NAR would pay $418 million over approximately 4 years. NAR has long maintained and continues to believe that cooperative compensation and NAR's current policies are good things that benefit both buyers and sellers. They promote access to property ownership, particularly for lower and middle income buyers who can have a difficult enough time saving for a down payment.
So, what's next? The settlement is subject to court approval, which is a process that we can expect to take several months or more, and will include an opportunity for interested parties to object. In large class action settlements like this one, objections are common. NAR will move to have litigation about the MLS cooperative compensation model rules stayed or paused pending the settlement approval process. NAR will also continue to provide updates about the settlement process as it unfolds. NAR's settlement is not an admission of fault. NAR chose to protect its members from more lawsuits and years of appeals, as well as not filing bankruptcy at the cost of these legal expenses. What some people don't understand is that the sellers who brought on these lawsuits knowingly signed a legally binding agreement to compensate buyers' agents. They also knew that the compensation was negotiable. NAR believed they could win the lawsuits because the sellers signed these legally binding contracts, and these sellers' homes were successfully sold.
So here's what you can expect with the information we have so far. Starting in July, listing agents and their sellers will no longer be allowed to offer a co-broke in the MLS. What does that mean for you as a seller? It means that as part of listing your home for sale, no offer of compensation will be offered to the buyer's agent. The current listing contract shown here outlines where you as the seller pays the listing broker for the amount that has been negotiated, and then in turn the listing broker pays the buyer brokers a commission. Please note that these terms and commission amount has always been negotiable. All of this will change. Take a look here at how a co-broke is represented in the MLS. In this example, the seller has negotiated to pay the buyer's agent a 2.5% commission. This change could mean that if you're a seller and you're having difficulty selling your home, but want to make sure you have the widest market reach possible, you can still offer to pay a buyer's agent commission by way of a concession to the buyers. Concessions are items that the seller agrees to pay for on behalf of the buyer at the close of escrow.
We're hoping that realtors will have access to a legal document to present to you as part of the listing contract for sellers and the purchase contract for buyers, which will explain compensation by concessions. This will be necessary so these concessions don't interfere with the type of concessions paid by sellers that are offered as part of the loans for veterans and FHA loans. As you can see in this chart, buyers are allowed only a certain percentage of concessions depending on the loan program they are using. This too may change in upcoming months. With the new ruling, as a buyer, you will be responsible for paying for a buyer's agent to represent your best interests during the home buying process. This means that you will negotiate the fee directly with your agent and brokerage you choose to hire. This may still be negotiated in the contract, but it will be more upfront and clear for you as the buyer as to the true cost of being represented. All buyers will be required to enter into an agreement with their buyer's agent even before that agent shows a buyer a home. Just like any other business, you will need to pay for services rendered, and this could mean paying for setting up showings, researching listings, researching any past or present problems with the homes you want to see, showing you the homes, writing the contracts, tracking the progress of the contract, hiring inspectors, and guiding you through the cumbersome process.
What does this mean? It means the way that real estate has been done for a century will now change. This can be a wonderful thing for both the agent and the buyer. The buyer agreement will clearly outline the responsibility of the agent you hire and what they will do for you. And you will understand upfront what you are paying them to do. As a buyer, you will no longer be able to work with more than one buyer's agent unless it is clearly spelled out in the agreement. This means more transparency for your agent and confidence to work harder for you and to feel confident that their time is not being wasted. We've had plenty of instances where customers have told us they're working with several agents. This is a huge red flag to us, as it tells us that these folks either aren't serious or they don't value our expertise, experience, and skills. Not only that, but if they are working with multiple agents, it's a waste of those other agents' time as well. It is our policy to end that relationship with that customer immediately. Agents who think it's okay to have one of their buyers work with several other agents may do this because they are low-quality agents or maybe new agents who may not be experienced and understand how it works. The Realtor Code of Ethics states that real estate agents cannot work with other people's clients, and we will not violate our ethics in hopes of working with anyone.
So can a buyer purchase a home and not be represented by a buyer's agent? Of course, but we do not believe this is in the best interest of the buyer. As you know, this is a completely new process and we can't be sure what will happen as a result of being unrepresented. But here are just some of the problems we can see happening. Number one, not having access to the proper purchase contract documents and addendums. Number two, missing out on the knowledge an experienced buyer's agent has to offer regarding home pricing, the difference of pricing in one neighborhood versus another, negotiations, inspections, and purchase contracts, dates, deadlines, timelines that must be met, disclosures, and more that might be binding in the contract. Missing deadlines could cost you your earnest money or the home of your dreams. 3. Not understanding that listing agent who works for the seller only represents fiduciary duties to the seller and not to the buyer. Fiduciary duties to the seller include duty of care, loyalty, good faith, confidentiality, prudence, and disclosure. 4. Entering into what is called dual agency and using the list agent or seller's agent to represent you as the buyer. By doing this, you will be paying the seller's agent a commission for not fully representing your interests. What this means is that if you use the seller's agent to represent you, your agent won't be 100% on your side. It would be like hiring your spouse's attorney to represent you in divorce. The primary issue with dual agency is that you lose one of the biggest perks of working with a buyer's agent, the responsibility to you and you alone. A real estate agent is required to act in their client's best interest at all times, making or accepting an offer, negotiating the price, or asking for concessions. So when your agent is also the seller's agent, this can spell out trouble.
Number 5, lack of advice. Whether buying or selling a home, receiving good advice from a real estate agent is very important. A major downside of dual agency is that the seller's agent is limited to what they can share with each party. Because they have a duty of confidentiality and loyalty to both the buyer and the seller, they cannot share things they normally would if they were representing just one party. For example, if you decide to work with a seller's agent, they are not allowed to offer suggestions to the buyer about what a home may be worth or what a buyer should offer on a home. Number 6, you may miss out on other properties that may be a better fit for you and your family. Number 7, area knowledge. If you're unfamiliar with the area, your agent is often the first contact you make and has considerable amount of information about different areas. For instance, what areas have city services? What properties are on a well or on propane? Where are the horse properties? What about the different community HOAs and their offerings? What about golf communities? Insurance rate fluctuations in some areas compared to others? Up and coming new communities? And more.
You may ask, how are we handling the news? Effective immediately, we will be requiring buyer-broker agreements for all new buyers to get ahead of the new requirements. Please know that this is a requirement that will be a national requirement, not just a local requirement. We will be informing our clients accurately and clearly of the new policy changes and how they will affect their upcoming transactions. We will continue to keep on top of the new policy changes and market trends. We as the Balance team will continue to provide value and excellent service to our clients as we navigate these new rules. Please feel free to reach out for updates and more information.
We would love if you would share your experience in the comments, as it will help us learn and grow. We will keep you updated through our YouTube videos as new developments arise. And of course, keep watching to learn more about Prescott and the surrounding cities. Please refrain from disparaging remarks, as it helps no one and they will be removed. And don't forget, you can start your search for your Prescott area home by going to PrescottRealestateAndLiving.com. We truly appreciate all of you who subscribe to our channel and make comments and ask questions about Prescott. We are here to help you and support you in your home search. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.